Hi, Rochelle.
Hi,
Welcome to the den.
hi, Pauline. Glad to be with you today.
Thank you so much. How are you? How is your Sunday going?
Yeah, it's quiet and sunny, quite sunny.
Yes, for once. I think we're currently in the same region, so it's sunny here as well. Rochelle, it was a big pleasure to me that you accepted to have this conversation because, I had so many people in my life kind of inspiring me and trusting me, but you were the first one. You were the first person in my design career to kind of create a space and opportunity for me. So it's a huge pleasure, and I'm very, very proud that you accepted to chat. Thank
And
you so much.
probably not quite the first because you had teachers before, and teachers.
No, because I was joining Napoleon, and
Yeah.
I was not the designer before. I was switching a career from computer science to design,
Oh,
joining the school, and I needed an alternance, like an internship, to be able to do this. So
oh,
you were the first one.
I remember now. Yeah, yeah. You came from development, but yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
So it's like a very interesting moment for me as well to have you here. Thank you so much. We of course had a pre-call. I told you a little bit about what the podcast is about, etc. But maybe it would be fair to start the conversation to ask you to tell me and everyone a bit about your story, your journey, like what you've done in the past, what are you up to now, and what are the aspirations you're having for the future.
Okay, I'll try to do the short version. So
Please, long one.
I I studied design at school. I'm from the south of France, and I ended up going to Paris to finish my studies at a school called Gobelins. So after that, I was a graphic designer, and I worked in agencies mostly, and a bit of freelance work. And then, like 4 years after beginning as a graphic designer, I came back to school, still at the same school, Gobelins, and I became a UX designer and project manager. And at first, what hired me first was project management. It was much easier to get a job project managing, and I became project director at an agency. But from one job to another and going through some freelance missions, I became a UX designer and a UX lead. And that's where I met you, because I was UX lead at a small agency called Napoleon. And yeah, you were our apprentice.
Yes.
Yes. And since then, so I've gone on being a UX lead or design lead in other places. And but about a year later, after I left Napoleon, I became a full-time teacher. I was already teaching, but I became a full-time teacher and training manager. And now I manage two master's degrees in design. So one of them is more UX design and project management, and the other has two parts. One of them is creatives, art directors, and the other is creative developers, and
Oh,
and they work together. And it's at the same school where I studied, so Gobelins. And I've been working there more or less for 10 years. I went away at some point and I came back, and yeah. So, but I've been working full time in teaching future designers for 10 years.
oh my God, that's so amazing. I could maybe say that since you left and you came back, that's something you really enjoy. So, what was the main kind of motivation and the driver for you to switch from kind of working with clients to working with students? And like, what is the element about it that you are finding the most interesting right now?
I I think there's something about something quite contradictory about it, because when I became a teacher full time, it was also because I had found like what I would have considered in previous years the perfect design team.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was really happy with the work and happy with the team, and it was very stimulating. Everybody was super creative, super communicative, and we had great opportunities. I was already teaching at the school,
Yeah.
and I wondered for sometimes if it was just the fact that it was changing me from my daily routine of going to design, etc. My conclusion was that it was not just the change that made me happy, the occasional change of
Yeah.
etc. It had more meaning for me.
Mm.
I was more in my place, and that's also why I came back because I felt like it was more or less my place.
Mm.
At least I found some kind of meaning there. And yeah, so I accepted a job offer and accepted a pay cut because teaching doesn't pay quite as much as the big companies that we've worked in, and yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. But then, I mean, I have so many follow-up questions already on what you told me. But let me start with the one. So you kind of went through a career change yourself in like many areas. For a fact, I know that you grew up a generation of talent already because I was part of that generation. But now you are doing the same thing at scale with like bigger with more structure, I'd say, with more opportunities at a great
Yeah,
say it again.
bigger cohorts.
Yes, bigger cohorts, etc. But also, my kind of reading of the situation is that the industry changed a lot. So when like I was applying to Napoleon, for example, I mean, I remember my portfolio. It was awful, right? So it was like 3 websites, very similar, kind of. I did all my best, but it was bad. Now I have a lot of junior people reaching out with amazing portfolios, like well-developed case studies. And it's still a very challenging journey for them to kind of find a first internship or a first offering, etc. Like, could you share a bit how you see the like what's going on in the industry now, like for junior talent? What are the things they can do to distinguish themselves? And like more broadly, what's your view on what's going on with the industry and what this means for junior people trying to enter the workforce?
Yeah, if you compare a job offer from 10 years ago to a job offer from now, you will see it's much longer now. It's much longer and much more diverse, and it has everything in it. Everything. They want everything. Companies want everything. They want someone who can do strategy and who will just is very up to date on tools and artificial intelligence, etc. And they want someone who can deliver fast and think well, and who has a data-driven process, and also empathy with the users. And yeah, that's when you. I've done recently an analysis of job offers in France, and they are very complete. They are very thorough, and you can see that it's absolutely not like 10 years ago when
Yeah.
you would have a vague idea of what a designer would be useful for, and you would just go with your gut. And they also, when my students or former students go to job interviews, they almost always have several steps. So they talk with the HR first, and then manager, and then maybe test. There's like almost always a test,
Yeah.
which is
It wasn't the case back then.
No, and I still don't find the usefulness of a test. Honestly, I don't see what hiring people can see when they present a candidate with a fake subject in a fake environment, and they don't have all the information, and they have to deliver very quickly
Yeah.
something that's of good quality. So they have this test, which again, it's a weird way to assess the reality of someone's craft ability. Whereas I would much more recommend going through the files from previous jobs, previous projects the person has been working on, because nowadays they always have various projects, and that's a difference to what you told me. I don't remember your portfolio, Pauline. I remember you, but I don't remember your portfolio. I'm sorry.
It's good you don't. It's good you don't.
But you tell me you had 3 very similar websites, and nowadays they need to have more. They need to show a variety of things, and especially sometimes I have a former student recently who told me he was not hired in a position because his portfolio was too diverse.
Okay.
He didn't have only SaaS.
Yeah, like very specific direction.
So, but that's the outlier. Usually, a company, especially agencies, will like to see various projects. And so you could, instead of testing the candidates, you could just go through the work files, the Figma file from one of the projects, and question why this is there and why, what led you to take this decision. It would be more real, I think. It would be, it would give more of a sense of what the person could be in actual working conditions. Because you know what they say about IQ tests? It only measures whether you're good at tests. And
Yes.
it's the same with those kind of tests. It measures if you're good at tests, but daily work is not the same as a test. So that's why I'm quite uneasy with the hiring processes, including tests. And also it takes a lot of time. And it takes a lot of time for someone who is trying to get a job and applying to tens of offers every month. It means every time spending 1 or 2 days on a test. And so for each hiring process, there's a test, and it ends up more than a full-time job. So.
Yeah, looking for a job is becoming another job.
Yeah, exactly. And a big job. It's not a part-time. It's like more than full-time. And so I question this practice. But it's the practice of the time. And everybody asks for a test. And then there are more interviews and interview with the team, culture fit, you know. And so the process is quite long. You don't go with your gut anymore.
No.
And thinking, oh, Pauline, she looks clever. She had good answers when we asked questions. Let's hire her. Whatever. And it's funny because when I did this analysis of job offers for designers, I thought it's so they are very thorough with all the skills they're asking, and they are very thorough with the process of hiring, and so they've become thorough. It looks as if they've realized the importance. So they, is companies, have realized the importance of design. Still don't really know what makes a good designer, so they don't want to leave anything to chance. They want to de-risk most of the hiring. And I'm sorry, but you cannot be sure. You cannot be 100% sure. the person you're hiring is gonna perform. They're not gonna perform the same as in the previous company.
Yeah, because the environment matters as well. Personal situation matters.
Exactly. And in agencies, and especially small agencies, you will have what I'm going to say might not be very pleasant to
I told you it's not a scripted conversation. Say what you think.
People who are entrepreneurs and made their own agencies, and they have to rationalize why they are the boss. And sometimes this rationalization is because I know people and I can judge people. And I've often met people who thought they're good at being an agency boss because they're good at judging people and knowing what those people can do. You never know. You never know. And that's and when the people they hire don't perform as well as they thought, they are thinking that it's against them or something. But no, you cannot master all the contexts that makes a person like confident, feel trusted, viewed, or seen rather,
Yeah.
feel valued. You cannot control this perception, and so you cannot control their performance in the job. Yeah, and also, well, this thoroughness in the hiring process, I think it's going a little too far.
Yeah.
And also it's a reflection of the fact that a part of this long process is managed by human resources, and they're not engineers, and they don't know what they're talking about. So you have to rationalize for them. And it's also some of the resume sorting is done by AI. So you have to have precise criteria for sorting the resumes. So this leads to quite artificial criteria that doesn't really reflect if a designer is a good designer. And also it translates to it's always the same people being hired.
Yeah. I want to ask a follow-up question on that, because when you were kind of telling the story, and I've been part of both kind of sides, right? I've been hiring, I've been also being hired. And I think when you go through, like when you make those job descriptions, or like you're looking for this kind of very unicorn special profile, often it also takes you as a hiring person a lot of time. So I'm wondering a bit, like for an agency around like 30, 35 people, with the market, which is very weird right now overall, like a lot of senior people are on the market, a lot of junior people are on the market. There are still a lot of positions, I think, in different like areas of expertise, etc. You kind of feel would be like a fair, I mean, not a compromise, but a fair way where it would allow a company to find a person to help them cover the needs they have, and at the same time to move faster, so that the job search and at the same time the hiring is not becoming full-time job for either side. Because I think like in most of the agencies, like maybe before like 50 people, they also don't have a full-time HR in a lot of cases. And I know for sure, like it's a time-consuming process when they're trying to hire. So what, what is your opinion on like how to make the two great sides meet?
I have a question for you. So I haven't been in a position to hire in an agency for maybe 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, something like that. I don't remember. Well, I remember, but I don't know how it has changed. How many resumes would you receive for a designer job offer?
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the research data, but I would say,
Going up? Has it gone down?
yeah, I mean, I think it is definitely going up. Kind of a perception I have, I don't have the data, but I also think there are more positions. I think it is going up also because in a lot of countries we did have like boot camps, we did have the programs like the one that you are, for example, leading being established. Like when I was studying, like UX design wasn't a thing. It was multimedia project manager, UX design specialization, and we had maybe 2, 3 of them maybe 5 of them in France.
Yeah. So there's more training. So there's more people trained, being
Yeah.
trained, and there's also more position, but not that much more. It's kind of stalling. It's been
Yeah.
stalling for like 2 years now, and so there's a stable number of positions and a growing number of applicants
Yeah.
in France. So you will of course have more competitions, and my former students, the ones who got their diploma last year, they have a real hard time finding a job, because whenever they apply for a junior designer position, they will have someone who is like has 6 to 10 years experience
Yeah.
applying for the same job and the same pay, because it's a hiring market, it's not a applying market. It's good for people who want to hire, and so of course the person with more experience gets the job since it's the same price. The hiring people think that more experience equals a better designer, and that goes to rationalizing
The criteria.
criteria, leads to hiring people who are according to the criteria, even though they might not be the best designer, whatever. The How do you hire right now? I wouldn't pretend to be in the shoes of a agency person hiring, or a lead designer at an agency hiring someone at the moment. But yeah, as I told you, maybe maybe of course using AI when you have too many applicants to sort through the resumes and decide who you're gonna interview, it seems at some point it becomes mandatory.
Mhm.
I don't know. I was asking you about the number of resumes you would receive on a designer job offer, because this will help the first step. But I would think so. What I told you previously about not doing a test, but rather taking the time to go through their portfolios, and they're telling them beforehand, before an interview, that we're going to go through your work files, your Figma files, or whatever you're using. And I'm going to question your process based
Mm.
on this file. I'm going to question your decisions. And so it gives the time to the applicant to just if there's a confidentiality thing with their previous work, they can arrange their Figma files so that,
Sanitize.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. In French we say anonymiser. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, and so they can, yeah, remove the problematic bits, and I think it's much more true to what the designer has to offer than just a test. And it might take more time to the hiring person.
Yeah.
It takes less time for the applicant, but more time for the hiring person. And it requires them to be professionals, design professionals, to understand the compromise, the trade-offs that you do on a daily basis. And but I think it's time well spent. It's time well spent, and if you gain time on the other parts of the process, you can spend it there. And yeah, and I think that's what maybe we didn't go through your work files with you, but
We did.
I may have asked you questions about your process and why you took this decision. So that's my process. And so I've continued hiring people because I have applicants to my training every year that we select.
Yeah.
And so I continue doing that. And it's really the best way to understand if someone has potential. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the part. I also have, now that I'm responsible for a master's degree, so I still interview, and I still have a different process for hiring the students, but it's not hiring, but for selecting students, and that's the part of the interview of the process I wouldn't give up on.
Yeah. And I agree so much with what you're saying on one specific point, because in what you were describing, you said, like, I will ask you questions about your process and I will question your process. And I think that's such an overlooked element generally in like different, like on almost both sides, because now that I think the industry is changing every day. Like if you think about it, the lifespan of a technology is shorter than the lifespan of like a mid-size project. So you can start a project with like one model and end a project with completely different model, which will be able to perform so much better. And having someone as a part of the team who is extremely rigid to the way they want to run things or they want to see things, even if they are the best expert in whatever area, generally is going to hurt the team in the setup where it's moving so fast. So I think that's something like so important to, yes, of course you need to check for basics, because if not, you're going to lose money and time, etc. But then kind of selecting for this, and I don't even think it's a soft skill. For me, for designers specifically, it's becoming part of the hard skill set. Like being able to problem solve around your own process.
And compromise. I was talking about trade-offs, but understanding that you could theoretically design anything, and you chose to design a specific thing, and it favors some aspects, and it defavors
Yeah.
aspects. And you have to be able to articulate that. Otherwise, you cannot be able to collaborate with a larger team that is not just designers. And so that's collaboration, evolution, and thinking on your feet when you're designing, and changing ideas. And that's an aspect I specifically ask about during interviews.
Yeah, so true. And there is another area where I also wanted to go with you. So you saw like the agency world for like long times, like before you made the last career switch to become a teacher. I know through your students, you definitely observe a little bit what is going on in the like startup agency world, etc. right now. And I would love to ask you a bit about, like with AI and the changes in like the generational shifts, the Gen Z becoming like significant part of the workforce. We have several generations now working together at the same workspace. Like, how do you, like, what are the things you observe that are common to what you observed in the past? And what things completely changed and what this means for candidates and companies?
So you're telling me that Gen Z is becoming a significant part of the workforce, and I'm saying, are they? Are they
Okay.
becoming a significant part of the workforce? Because nowadays, so maybe it's AI, maybe it's something else. It's because, you know, what I told you earlier, the fact that for a junior designer position, there's insignificant number of senior designers applying.
Yeah.
So a lot of the young ones are kept out of the workforce, and that is very worrying. That from my position, and
Of course.
it's a problem, and it's gonna become a problem for hiring people for agencies and such in the coming years, because
That's exactly why we are talking about it. I have a very same perspective.
if you don't hire junior people, where are your senior people going to come from? You need to train people and to make them become senior. So some say it's because of AI, because AI can do the job of a junior designer. It can do the job of a very, very, very junior designer, and one that doesn't count its hours, and that makes a lot of mistakes, and that understands things very basically and literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very literal. It kind of does the job of a junior designer in that sense.
Yeah.
And some of the hiring people will tell you, so that's my other cat. And so they kind of do the job of a junior designer. They cannot, well, they might do some of the idea exchange you might have with another designer, whether they're junior or not. You know, the ping pong that you do with your colleagues, and that is very fruitful usually. And AI can do that, but they cannot, as of yet, become a senior designer. And so, yeah, it's a difficult place that agencies are in right now. It's either they respond to their urgency right now, which is to hire someone that is very competent for a small price. And so hire a senior designer who is applying to a junior position, or hiring a junior designer in a junior position and betting on the future. That's a decision I wouldn't want to have to take. But as a teacher, you know where I stand, because what I know of most of the senior designer or design leads that I meet very often is that they love to transmit their knowledge, know-how, their skills, and they love to coach. So hiring a junior person also allows you to do that.
Yeah.
And you know how you can gain clarity from explaining something to someone.
Yeah.
You can have that. You can that's something it gives you, and also this naivety that very young people have, this not being afraid of things that a more seasoned professional would be afraid of, which leads them to say very dumb things sometimes, but then you think about it and you try to explain to them why it's dumb, and then you start to think,
is it?
it's yeah, you get that. Whereas if you hire someone who's already in the same culture as you and has already the same fears as you, and it's also why in the hiring process, there's the culture fit.
Yeah.
It's something that is quite difficult to do, because are you going to hire, is it a pretext to hiring someone that is like you, which is the case in a lot of agencies. They try to express their culture and what will make someone fit to their culture as, well, they just have to be like me and to function like me. But in other agencies, it's more person gonna fit in this big puzzle of different people that we have, and is there going to be an obvious problem? It's again, it's very difficult to judge beforehand, before the person is actually working in the agency. So culture fits, I'm not sure it's an essential part of the process. I don't know, but I'm not sure.
But when you were speaking about it, it kind of inspired me for one more reflection. Generally, like if you are hiring a senior person, this means that you give them a task and you kind of generally have a good understanding of what they will deliver, because often you kind of grew up in the same setup, same culture, as you said, same knowledge, same fears, same learnings, etc. This way, you kind of still keep the two-level hierarchy when you have someone who is given the task and someone who is executing the task without necessarily kind of having a third layer in the middle. When you are hiring someone junior, like as a owner or as a like head of design, most of the time you don't just have time to sit with this person and explain them every single element of the task they need to execute. So this means that you need to be able to grow this middle layer of like lead designers inside the organization so that they can take care of the junior talent. And I think that's also often an overlooked part, is that like if you want to build for the future, not only you need to hire junior people, but you also need to find, like you need also to build the machine so that your current like mid-level and senior people are becoming leads, so that then they train the junior talent and you have fun.
Yeah, that's true. I was focused on the juniors because that's the people that go out of my training. But yeah, you have to hire. So that's a question of growing and scaling. And so again, having juniors in your team will test the ability of the existing team, senior designers to delegate, to manage, yeah, and so to transmit their skills and to prioritize and etc. So having an apprentice is also training to be a manager. And so that's one thing. Also, so you can grow your team into this position. You don't necessarily have to hire, but sometimes you have to hire. And I think that's the most risky hire that you can have, especially in an agency that is growing, because these people are gonna take your place. So you're an agency boss. You've been creating this agency from the ground up. It was nothing. You became the design lead de facto. So you're hiring someone to do this in your place, and you're focusing more on being a CEO,
a strategic leader. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the agency leaders I've known cannot do that, and some can. I don't know. I've never theorized what separates them, but yeah, it's a difficult step. The first ones you hire at this like middle management thing, it's very risky, and sometimes there are expectations to understand. So you have sorry, you also have as an agency boss to learn to become a CEO rather than a design lead. You also have some training to do, and it's not obvious. It's not something that will come naturally. And so one of the ways it translates into reality, it's that sometimes the boss will expect their new design lead to understand whatever they say because they share the same culture, because they have evolved in the same professional universe, professional milieu. They think that they can understand very quickly. That they mean the same thing by the same words, but they don't. And so sometimes there's this expectation to be really on the same
Vague.
yeah, it's to have the same vibe, to be the same, to be another me, and that we don't have to communicate, we understand each other. That's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, and a very dangerous one, I'd say.
You have to understand that the person is not going to do the job the same way you've done it. And maybe that's occasion of a discussion because you're not easy with the way they are doing. So that's something you have to discuss. Maybe you have to negotiate with them, and also you have to. It's going to take time to understand each other. It's going to take conversations. It's going to take communication. Communication between small manager with the big manager is always whatever the organization. It's always key, and it's always underestimated.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I mean, for having observed some of those situations, I can see what you mean, and I fully agree. Okay, then, Rachel, I have a last question for you before we close. So, as someone who is leading the growth of the future generation of digital talent in France, at least that's how I would frame your role. What would be...
Some of it.
Partly. You are being humble. But what would be like an aspirational wish or advice or like a recommendation that you would give to current agency leaders or agency founders around like 30, 50 people size? And what would be your kind of aspirational guidance for them?
Okay. I would say don't lock people in your first idea of them. Maybe you've hired someone for a specific job or a specific skill that they had. It's not the only thing. 90% of the time, it's not the only thing only service they can render you. It's not the only thing they can do for the company. So don't try to frame them in this and close them in this image you have of them. So that's something that I see with so it's difficult for a junior to be hired right now. So sometimes they play the card of I'm very fluent in AI and automation, and I can help your team pass this step.
Oh, lovely.
But that's not the only thing they can do. And while they're doing that, you still have to question them about design and the design behind the tools, not just the tools. So you cannot lock them into this nice little cell of being the tool person. Yeah, you still operate with them as a designer. So yeah, I wish.
Yes. And the second one, hire an apprentice.
Yeah, that too. Or two.
Or
three.
Yeah, let's stay realistic. We are talking about small companies mostly, smaller teams. All right. Thank you, Rachel. It was a pleasure having you. Have a great Sunday.
Yeah, I had fun talking with you. Thank you.
Same. Me too a lot. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.